All right, let's jump right into a topic that is absolutely blowing up right now: peptides. We're going to break down what they are, how they work, and, why you're suddenly seeing them pop up everywhere you look.
So I'm sure you've seen it. You're scrolling through your feed, and that word peptides just keeps showing up. It's tied to anti-aging, to fitness, to everything, it seems. But what are we really talking about here? What even are these things?
Okay, here is the absolute easiest way to wrap your head around this. Think of it like building a language. If amino acids are the letters of the alphabet, your ABCs, then peptides are short, simple words like run or heal. And proteins? Well, proteins are the long, complex sentences that you build with those words.
Now, for the slightly more scientific version, peptides are just short chains of those letters, the amino acids. We're talking between 2 and 50 of them linked together. They're literally the building blocks that make up those big, complex proteins that do pretty much all the heavy lifting inside our cells. So peptide is just a smaller, more focused piece of that whole puzzle. So we know they're like short words. But what do these words actually do? This, right here, is where it gets really fascinating. Your body is already a peptide powerhouse, so let's take a look at what they're doing naturally. Think of peptides as tiny biological text messages zipping around your body. Seriously, they are signaling molecules, and their whole job is to carry very specific instructions from one place to another, telling your cells exactly what to do and when to do it. And what kind of instructions are we talking about? Oh, just the most critical ones for keeping you alive and well. Peptides are the ones telling your body when it's time to heal a cut, when to grow muscle, when to tap into fat for energy, when to release vital hormones, and even when to dial down inflammation. They're basically the project managers for your entire internal system. And look, this isn't some strange futuristic concept. You are running on peptides this very second. Insulin, the hormone that's managing your blood sugar, that's a peptide. Endorphins, those incredible chemicals that give you that runner's high, total peptides. Your body is constantly making and using these little messengers every single day.
So if our bodies are already chock full of them, why is there this sudden explosion of interest? Well, that brings us to the modern world and the synthetic peptide boom. Scientists have figured out how to create very specific peptides in a lab to send very specific text messages, and that has just blown the doors wide open.
And now we're seeing these synthetic peptides being explored for just about everything. I mean, from anti-aging and skincare to high-level sports medicine, improving metabolic health, and even things like gut healing. The potential uses are just so broad, and that's what's fueling all this excitement.
So what's the big promise here? Well, the idea is that by sending in these specific instruction messages, we could potentially speed up how fast we heal from an injury, help athletes recover way faster, support deeper and more restorative sleep, improve our skin by telling it to make more collagen, and even help regulate our appetite. Now, with all this hype, you are absolutely going to start hearing some specific kind of science-y names being thrown around. So let's do a quick fire round of some of the most common peptides you might hear about, just so you're familiar with the lingo. Okay, so they're usually grouped by what they do. For healing and inflammation, you might hear about BPC 157. For fat loss, GLP-1 agonists are the huge ones right now because they can affect appetite. For growth hormone, you'll hear names like ipamorelin. And for skin, GHK-Cu is a popular one for its collagen-boosting potential. This just gives you a basic map of what's out there. Okay, we've talked about the what and the why, but now we have to stop and talk about something incredibly important. It's time for a critical safety check, where we have to separate the hype from the reality. And I really need you to lean in and listen closely to this part. I'm not being dramatic. The very same power that makes peptides so promising is also what comes with potential risk. And understanding that risk is absolutely non-negotiable. Here's the deal. A ton of the peptides sold online are labeled for research purposes only, which is a huge red flag. It means they're unregulated, there's a real risk of contamination, they're not approved by the FDA for you to use, and honestly, we just don't have the data on their long-term safety. And let me be crystal clear. If it's an injectable, it requires medical supervision. Full stop. This is why you just can't think of these like vitamins. A supplement might, support your body's natural processes. A peptide gives a direct order. It's the difference between giving a factory more raw materials versus marching in, grabbing a giant lever, and changing the entire assembly line. The effect is faster, it's stronger, and it's way more direct. And because they give those direct orders, they can have really powerful effects on your body's most sensitive systems. We're talking your hormones, your thyroid function, your stress response cortisol levels. For anyone who has a history of sensitivity in any of these areas, trying to experiment on your own is an incredibly risky game. So, let's just boil this all down. What are the key takeaways? Number 1, peptides are just short chains of amino acids. 2, they're your body's natural text messengers. 3, your body is already using them all the time. 4, these new synthetic versions have some really exciting potential, but they come with very serious risks. And 5, and this is the big one, injectable peptides are powerful drugs, not harmless supplements.
When you get right down to it, peptides are the language our bodies use to talk to themselves. And we are just now reaching a point where we can start writing our own sentences in that language. And that leaves us with a pretty profound question, doesn't it? Are we really ready for that kind of responsibility? It's something we're all going to have to think about as this technology keeps pushing forward. Thanks for joining us.